Hey, it's Dave with Doing Things with Dave. So today I wanted to do a deep dive on my third excursion on my Panama Canal cruise. As maybe you've followed some of my videos, you know we've already done Cartagena, Colombia, and Panama, the canal itself, as well as Panama City. My excursion in Cartagena was really good. My excursion in Panama was really bad. Well, not really bad, but was not good. Had some issues, and I've got videos on both of those that I'll link in the comments if you want to check those out. The Panama Canal Day was fascinating, phenomenal, and great. But today I really wanted to talk to you about country number 3 on this journey, excursion number 3. This, of course, is Costa Rica. Now, I had pretty high hopes for this excursion before we even got on the ship, but certainly after the Panama City Day, which was a bit of a miss, I really wanted to have a good excursion. Now, the excursion I had booked was a crocodile safari. The Tarcoles River in Punta Arenas, Costa Rica, which connects to the Pacific Ocean and then goes for about 50 or so kilometers through parts of Costa Rica, is well known for having a variety of diverse wildlife, including a lot of crocodiles, and especially some really large ones. So I was excited about this as an opportunity to get up close and personal, see some crocodiles. Now, keep in mind, we'd already seen some crocodiles in the Panama Canal itself, both through the cut as well as while we were waiting to go under the bridge of the Americas, and had seen some decent sized ones, especially the one that was swimming next to the ship, which was probably about 5 meters long, but wanted to be much closer and have a chance to get some pictures and video. So it was excited, plus the chance to see some of the other wildlife and certainly experience a little of Costa Rica, which I was really excited about. Okay, so again, Costa Rica, like some of the other ports like Cartagena, as well as when we get into Guatemala, the ports are very industrial. So not only did we not really have any port facilities when we got off the ship, so we again queued up in the Norwegian Joy theater, wait for our excursion to be called. When we got off the ship, immediately off the gangway, right onto the bus, the guide actually had a hard hat and a safety vest on. It turns out that that's because, again, this is a working commercial port with lots of machinery, and they had containers all over the place. It was kind of important that we were safe. So you couldn't just get off and wander. You really needed to have a plan or an excursion. There was a bus that went into town where the regular cruise port that handles much smaller ships was located. I did know some people who did that. But in any case, we boarded our bus and had about a 30 to 40 minute ride out to the river itself. And on this ride, the guide was phenomenal. He gave a lot of history of Costa Rica. He gave his own personal experiences, talked a lot about the dry and rainy seasons, and we were coming to the end of the dry season. And then he also gave us a really good heads up of what to expect when we got to the boarding area for the little boat, and what we should expect on the boat cruise itself. So once we did arrive, had bathrooms for everybody, which was great. And then we quickly got on the boat. The boat was about 50 or 60 feet long. Had, I would say, about 20 rows of 2 seats per side. So everybody had a good chance to see the water. And within a few minutes, we quickly got out and cruised. Now, the river was beautiful. It wasn't very large, but it was very calm, and it was nice and relaxing. And as we cruised along, our guide and the driver were pointing out things to see, whether it be birds. We saw some crocodiles early. They were in the water, so we didn't get great up close with them, or didn't see the whole length or body of the crocodiles, but it was a nice start. And then before too long, we came upon a rather large female crocodile, and I only know it's a female because our guide told us it was a female, on the beach. So we got up close, got everyone had a chance to take pictures, to take video. Now, on the video I'm going to put up, you'll see her mouth is open. It's not because she was angry or reacting. It's found out that crocodiles use the open mouth technique to regulate body heat. They're cold-blooded, so by opening their mouth, they can either get warmer or cooler depending on what their needs are. So you will often see crocodiles with their mouths wide open, and they leave them open for a while. That's a heating and cooling sort of mechanism. So as we got the chance to see the crocodile, everyone was excited. Everyone was jazzed because it was like, wow, this is really cool. You know, we saw a couple in the water, but now we've actually seen one on land. This is great. So we cruised around a little bit more, saw a lot of stumps, a lot of trees, lots of birds, whether it be egrets or heron or cormorants or all sorts of other types. And again, our guide was great at pointing them out. Side note about the great blue herons. I actually live very close to a pond called Blue Heron Pond that has a heron family. So it was kind of interesting, me being in New Jersey, where I live, and then going to Costa Rica and seeing these majestic birds as well. And they are majestic if you've ever seen them. Long legs, a gray bluish color, and when they fly, they're majestic. Okay, so as we kept cruising, saw lots of other things. Iguanas. I actually were the person who saw them first, so I called them out, pointed them out, and sure enough, the guide had his binoculars. He called out a few more of them, a couple different colored ones. The driver of the boat made sure we got close and spun the boat around so one side could see them and then the other side could see them. That was great. It just, everybody really felt like each of us mattered, that the guide and the driver wanted to make sure our experience was great. Okay, so we saw a lot of other boats. There were probably 3 or 4 places where people could board boats, and they were all pretty much the same, 50, 60 feet long, and, you know, a chance to get up close and personal. What was kind of cool too is the crocodiles didn't seem to care that there were 2, 3, 4 boats around. They just sat there. Now maybe it's because the way they are cared for when we're not around. Our guide was like, they don't feed them, but someone else, when I was back on the ship, said his guide on a different company said they do feed them. So regardless, it was neat, and it was cool that they didn't get spooked. So everyone got a chance to see them. Now, speaking of seeing them, while we were on the cruise, the guide was telling us, hey, there are a couple of really big males, and each of them have a couple different names, and I'll put a link to the Tarcoles River in the description so you can read a little bit more about the famous crocs of Costa Rica, the Tarcoles River. But we saw one of them, and this guy was massive. So first I'm going to put a picture up. You just see him kind of in slow motion, or just a picture, and then I'll put up a video of him actually opening and closing his mouth. Now, keep in mind, we're from behind, so I don't get to see how big his mouth is from the front, but he was probably about 6 meters, so about 18 to 20 feet long, and between 800 and 1,000 kilograms, or over 2,000 pounds, give or take. Massive, massive animal. And there's several of them in the river that are about of this size. These old males, they sometimes fight, but they're very solitary. And again, us getting to see him for a few minutes was a highlight of this, right? So we've seen lots of different animals, tons of different types of birds. We saw the iguanas, a variety of crocodiles. Speaking of birds, we saw a fair amount of pelicans, and you know, when you see a pelican off in the distance, they're distinctive because of their long beak that allows them to scoop up water and fish. But when you see them close up, they're massive. We saw one, you know, on the beach here, but either this one or another one buzzed us, and wingspan at least 3 meters, at least 10 feet or more. A huge birds, you know, and you just don't think of them as being that big, but the brown pelicans, which they are, were quite impressive. So again, this cruise was about 2 hours long. We were up close and personal. We saw lots of different things. Everyone seemed to have a great time. And the views were spectacular. So we're on this river that connects into the Pacific Ocean, but as we can turn around, we see off into the distance some low mountains and then some higher mountains. Beautiful, beautiful sort of backdrop, beautiful place, and really, really enjoyed the entire cruise. And it was about 2 hours, which felt like it was actually longer than maybe was advertised in the description. But hey, it was great. We got off the little boat, and as we were walking back to the bus, we saw some monkeys, which was kind of just like a little icing on the cake. And then we got back on the bus. We drove through a plantation. There was lots of, the best way to call it plantation, there was lots of cows. There's a big cow, steer industry, beef industry in Costa Rica that our guide was explaining to us, so we got to see one. And then we drove to sort of the other stop on our trip, which was a souvenir location that was set up to handle a lot of buses. It was very professionally managed, felt very comfortable. Our guide was great about telling us how long we were going to be there, where the bus was going to be, which was the same spot that we parked at. We all had a sticker. When we got off the bus, we got some fruit, we got some coffee. There was some native music and dancing. It wasn't super in depth, but it was, well done and appropriate sort of experience. Everybody had a chance to buy what they wanted. The purchase process was relatively straightforward. It was not aggressive. You could either buy or not buy. There was a cafeteria if you wanted to get some food. There was a little shop in the back that was selling snacks and beers. If you know, you know. Of course, I had a beer. What was great, though, is our guide was constantly walking around, just reminding everybody, hey, we've got 15 minutes, we've got 10 minutes. He came up to me, said, I hope you had a good time. About 10 minutes to board the bus. So I chatted with him for a couple minutes. But that level of professionalism as well as attention to his group was so good, especially with my experience in Panama City, where I thought we were going to get left. So real positive experience. Anyway, get back to the ship after a short bus ride. And again, have to park right next to the gangway because of the ship or the port itself being very industrial. I got off the ship. I went up to Spice H2O, again on the Joy and the other Norwegian breakaway class of ships. The back deck, generally deck 16, is Spice H2O, and it's adults only area. Big television screen or video screen. They generally have like a pool or hot tub, a bar, and it's a nice place to sit and relax. It's covered, as well as has some open area if you want to get some sun. I sat up there for a couple hours, had a few Aperol spritzes, and talked with a bunch of people who were super excited about their excursions, right? Whether it was doing what I did, the Crocodile Safari, some people did some hiking up into some of the mountains, others did some food excursions, and some did some zip lining, but everybody was super excited about the professionalism, the experience they had, the beauty of the country. So it was one of those things that all of us were just, really feeling good about what we did and the excursion experience, and had some great pictures and some great experiences to share. Got a chance also to look around the port area. Wish we would have had the chance to maybe get off the ship and go to the beach that we could see on the other side of the fence line. But again, when we think about what this experience was like, seeing the crocodiles up front or up close and personal, and just the beauty of the country. And one cool thing is, as we were leaving, sail away, it was dark, but I happened to be on deck 8, the waterfront, and saw 2 big pelicans flying in formation. So I'll put that video up here. After a couple seconds, they really come into focus for a few seconds, and they flew next to us for maybe 30, 45 seconds. It was such a neat experience and a perfect end to a day that really was enjoyable. So, day 8 of the trip, Port 3, Country 3. Coming up, we've got Guatemala, where I go up to Antigua and visit a old village, old town, which should be very interesting. And then a few more sea days, and then 2 more ports after that in Mexico. But in any case, as I ramble along. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like it, give it a like. If you like this sort of content about Panama Canal, solo cruising, maybe give me a subscribe. But in other case, or in any case, however you want to say that, I will see you on the sea.